Double Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're joined today by Jennifer Abod. We are proud to introduce you to her. She is the filmmaker of this documentary, The Passionate Pursuits of Angela Bowen. It is premiering? Is it its premiere?
It's premiered a couple of times.
It's in its third premiere, let's say, right, at the Long Beach Indie Film Festival, which is coming up. And it's about her lifetime partner, now her wife, Angela Bowen, who is an inspiration, still with us today. Let's talk about Angela Bowen, Angie, and her life as a youngster. Tell us about her.
Sure. Angela Bowen was born in Roxbury, Massachusetts, one of 6 children who was delivered by her father. He delivered all his children. He was from South Carolina. Mom was from the Caribbean. And she was raised, they were very, very poor, but her mother...
But proud.
Proud, and her mother was her ethical guide and her conscience, and features prominently in her challenges and her choices and in the film.
When Angela was a younger teenager, she literally stumbled into a dance studio.
That's right.
By a fluke, because she didn't have great posture.
That's right.
What happened as a result of her landing in this all-black dance studio in Boston during the Jim Crow era?
Yes. Well, it was the first time she heard full classical pieces of music. She saw beautiful costumes. She heard opera, and she just fell in love not only with dance and the demands of dance, but the music that filled her soul.
And dance fell in love with her.
Oh, yes.
And she became, very quickly, a prima ballerina.
It was amazing.
As a young African-American woman in the 1940s in Jim Crow Boston.
And at the age of 14. Misty Copeland was 13 when she discovered dance. Angela was 14 when she discovered dance. I mean, their stories are somewhat similar, except that Angela had the fortunate reality of having a mother who loved her and who gave her an ethical compass and also gave her a lead about what mission she should have in life.
And you know, we think about the North, and we think, oh, things weren't so bad for African Americans in the North. Jim Crow was in the South. Not necessarily true. Not necessarily true.
Different.
Different.
Just different.
Yeah. And as a result, she faced discrimination.
Yes.
When she tried out for parts on Broadway.
Oh, absolutely.
But that didn't stop her.
Right.
Where'd she go?
Europe.
Europe.
That's where black artists went, you know. That's where they went. And she danced in Italy and she danced in Europe with a thing called Jazz Train. Right, it was an all-black cast, and they called it the All Sepia Review. Fantastic, and I have footage, found footage of that actual review with her dancing in it, and it's in the film.
And that's where she spent the 1950s. She comes back to the promise of the 1960s. John Kennedy was just elected president, and she participated in that promise. She and her then husband opened a dance studio in New Haven. Now, I will mention that New Haven may be the home of Yale, but it's also the home of some families that face challenges.
Oh, my goodness, yes. I mean, one of the things that she did was on purpose. She opened a school right in inner city, right behind Yale, and the pictures in the film will show the difference between the beauty of Yale and where black people were living and growing up.
And for, God, 19, 20 years, she was that beacon.
She was the maven of New Haven.
I like how you say that.
Absolutely.
And garnered tremendous satisfaction from those years. But by the end of the 1970s, like many women, and men for that matter, but like many women, she was attracted to the women's rights movement.
Absolutely.
The Feminist Era.
Yes.
As was someone
an avid reader.
As was someone I'm talking to right now.
Yes.
And there was a fateful moment in 1979.
Yes.
Tell us about that moment.
Well, in 1979, I was a radio broadcaster. I was the first woman in the state of Connecticut to have my own radio talk show.
Congrats. Good to know you.
That was really,
good to meet you.
I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Yeah. And I was at a Take Back the Night march.
Which meant back then?
It still means.
Oh, I got it,
I don't think there's too many right now, but the violence against women It was at the beginning of women coming out and
Right.
finally saying something about it, that we can't walk out
Right.
at nighttime.
Right.
So we took Take Back the Night marches, and Angela was one of the speakers.
And you ultimately met.
I went out on my way to meet her.
You did.
Yes, the following day.
And ultimately, you developed a relationship
Yes.
that blossomed
Yes.
into a love affair
Yes.
that has lasted to this day.
Yes.
You were married recently as a result of laws
3 years ago.
that allowed you
And
to,
just celebrated our 37th anniversary.
and we congratulate you on that. But my question becomes, you're not in Connecticut right now, we're in Long Beach. How did Jennifer and Angie, wind up in Long Beach?
She got a job.
But back up, why'd she get a job? What did she do in the 80s and 90s?
Angela finished her bachelor's degree in her 50s, went on to, and was convinced by her teachers that she had a tremendous amount of talent, and they encouraged her to take advantage of the very
Right.
first PhD program in women's studies at Clark University.
She was one of the first.
And she was the first graduate from Clark University and one of the first in the country to get a degree in women's studies.
She continued to be a trailblazer.
Oh, absolutely.
And when she arrived at Cal State Long Beach, just down the road from where we are today,
Right.
she was the first black woman, the first lesbian to be
to be
hired,
in the women's studies, a 30-year program, in the women's studies program.
which I can't believe, 1996. It's surprising to me, but look, we still see advances to this day.
Yeah.
She now faces some health challenges.
Yes.
And I want to ask you about that if you don't mind.
Sure.
Talk to us about what's happening now.
Well, Angela is a force of nature, and even with the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, she has continued to meet those challenges with the kind of bravery and only some moments of sadness, and that she is enduring,
And she's here.
and she's here.
And I'm so glad to see her. I'm looking at her right now, and it really is an honor.
And she's a presence in any room. And
I felt it.
When she's going to be at the festival as well, and any time that she's ever in a room, the room changes.
I want to ask you, why did you make this film? I know
Good
she's
question.
your partner, but there's more than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This
Yeah.
is my third documentary.
Okay, yeah.
And the reason why I made the film is because there's a poet, a black lesbian feminist poet. She was poet laureate of New York named Audre Lorde. Very important to the black feminist movement, which is finally budding today. And one of the things that and I did a film about her, and one of the things she said was, who would believe our stories unless we tell
Right,
them?
right.
And when I was searching around for the next film,
She's right in front of you.
I'm saying, wait a second, wait a second.
My wife.
I know her stories.
Right.
We've been together 20 years.
Right.
But it took her 2 years to decide whether or not she would allow me
Angie.
to make that documentary. She wanted to know why I was going to make the film. And I finally gave her some kind of answers that helped her, and that's in the film as well. You know.
Right. Well, how's the reaction? What's the reaction?
She likes it. She really likes the film. She
She
loves
does.
the film, actually, and she'll move along with the music because she loves the music,
Right.
and she'll identify different places where she lived, and
Right.
she really enjoys some of the things that
What
she
do her
said.
children think? She has 2 adult children too?
They were in the film.
So
I-
they must think wonderful things about it.
I think that they think that it is honest
Right.
and it's unflinching, and that they're proud of it.
And I'm proud of you, if it's okay that I say that. I'm proud that you did this, and I'm proud that this story will be told and will be heard and seen and watched by so many, because it is so very important.
Well, it's a broad story.
Right.
It covers the arts, it covers the black arts movement, it
Right.
covers the issues of race, it covers issues of feminism, ageism, and also issues that are confronting us today in the LGBTQ community.
She is Jennifer Abod. She is the filmmaker of The Passionate Pursuits of Angela Bowen. My name is Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.